I'm gonna open this one up with a question. Say you had a choice. You were at the store and you could buy two different things. They were both the same item, but one was half as cheap, but the other was twice as good and would last twice as longer. Which one would you choose? And I know it differs between everything you'd buy. There's not like one standard thing, but just think about that. Hello everybody, this is Silas back for another, what I like to call a forest philosophy, where I'm just walking or doing whatever I'm doing, and I just talk kind of through my thoughts, because I have a lot of them, and I enjoy sharing them. So this one is what I'm going to be calling the quality paradox. Specifically like the quality of stuff we buy and products and whatnot, because I have pretty strong opinions on that subject. So yeah, we'll get into it. Back to the question, which would you buy? The cheaper one that was half the price, or the more expensive one that was twice as good? I'm much more lean towards the pay more for more quality. That's just kind of my personality, and that's actually to my detriment sometimes. It really is, where I end up paying way too much for something that really does not warrant the price jump for how good it is compared to the cheaper thing. I'll admit that, but all in all, I usually prefer the more quality thing, and I like that about me. I'm fine with that. Some people are different. Some people, they much prefer quantity over the quality, and so they will go to, say, Dollar General, and they will buy 4 of a thing for the same price that I would buy 1 of the thing that's going to last me a long time. And that's just the differences in personalities, the differences in how they like to do things. But I kind of want to talk about the good and the bad from both perspectives. Obviously, the good of the cheaper thing is it's cheaper. Like, you don't have to spend as much money on it for most of the time what is the same thing as the more expensive thing. So there's obviously the benefit of that, and you can, like I said, buy more of the cheaper thing for the same price of the more expensive thing. The downside of the cheaper things is obviously they're not as good. They're either worse quality, don't function as well, or they break easier, run out quicker, depending on the product, whatever it is. That's the obvious downside of the cheaper things. And the more expensive things are usually harder to get, more expensive obviously, so you can get less things. But the thing that just me personally, I value over quantity is just, does something work? Does it just work really well? And if the answer is yes, that's the one I'm gonna try to get. That tends to be the more expensive thing usually. Sometimes you can get the cheaper thing, just works well, and if so, I'll definitely get that. But yeah, I really try to get the stuff that'll last and the stuff that just works well. And that's just me. One thing that I kind of think about a lot is like a Dollar General. You know, their whole business model is we sell a whole lot of really cheap stuff. And I'm just not a fan of that business model. It does really well for them. I think they're making a lot of money. I don't know if you've ever been to the South, there are Dollar Generals everywhere. I heard a joke once that someone was proposing to put mile markers along roads in the South, and someone else said, I thought that's what Dollar Generals were for. They're everywhere. And they're really useful sometimes. You just need to pull over and get a bag of chips. You can. That's great. But their whole business model is they sell a whole lot of really cheap, low quality stuff. And you know you're getting that. That's one good thing about that. You know that that's what you're getting into. They don't sell it as some high quality thing. You know what you're buying. But One example I like to use is belts, because I kind of feel like that's, I don't know, I just feel like it's a good example for some reason. I had several belts growing up, you know, the standard leather ones with the holes that eventually would just wear out, dry rot, and the holes would get bigger until it was unusable. You had to get a new one. And that was fine. That's just kind of how you did it. You just go to Walmart and get another one. But then I saw another, there is a belt. It was from a company called Groove Life. You might have heard of them. They're not unknown, but that belt is one of my favorite things I've ever bought. It really is. It's like the buckle is a magnetic buckle that snaps together, and it has hooks as well, so it stays together and the little magnetic snap. And it's made with metal and like some nylon woven stuff for the actual belt, so it's gonna last forever. And I literally just don't have to buy another belt. I bought 2 of them. I really just don't have to buy another belt for years. And for the way my brain works, I value that. I value being able to do something right now to prevent me to have to think about that thing in a few years. That matters to me. So I can use that brain power for other stuff and not always have to go back to the same problem. Another place my mind goes to is kind of the efficiency of a thing. It makes much more sense to me economically, and as well as I'm a lot more of a simplistic person, so I don't like my room, I don't like to have a bunch of stuff cluttered, and so having a few really good quality, long-lasting items, instead of having a whole lot of other stuff that does the same thing, but I just have to have more of it to accomplish the same goal. And I keep saying, like, that's kind of what this is about, just my opinion on this stuff, and everyone has their own opinion. That's fine with me. One thing I like to think about is I think there's just too much stuff in the world. The way that American and Western consumerism has developed and become what it is, I just don't think it's healthy. Sometimes just the way we're told through a bunch of different sources that you always need this and this and this and this, and then you buy into all that stuff because that's the culture, that's just normal to us, and then you have all this stuff and now you got to find somewhere to put it, which just often is a bigger house or something like that, which means you got to have more money to keep up with all this stuff that you most likely don't even use in the first place. And that just, it frustrates me. It's just the culture. Like, I don't think we should feel bad for it because it's just the culture we grew up in, but that also doesn't mean we have to stay like that. So what I try to do, and what I'm going to try to do as I kind of get older and enter some of those situations, is really think hard if I need something. And if I don't, I love getting rid of stuff. I honestly do. It's just one more thing off my mind that I never have to think of again. So there it is. There's my opinions on all that. And like I said, I've said it a bunch in this video. These are all my opinions. They're not the right opinions, none of that. It's just some of the things I think about, which is just kind of the basis of these videos. But I'm interested in what y'all think too. So comment which way you lean. Do you lean more towards buying the cheaper thing or the more expensive thing? And also comment one thing that you bought that you're, like a high quality thing you've bought that you're so glad you bought. I'm really interested to see what some of y'all's replies are. So thank y'all for watching. Hopefully I'll see y'all on the next one, and hope y'all enjoy. See ya.